welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into a really influential book, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, it's one of those personal finance books almost everyone's heard of.
Absolutely. It definitely made waves.
And our goal here is simple. Let's unpack its key ideas, the main takeaways, and figure out what its lasting impact really means for you listening.
Yeah, and it's good to remember the context. It came out back in '97, and the whole hook was this contrast, right? Between his own father, his poor dad educated, but financially not doing so well.
Right.
And his best friend's dad, the rich dad, who's more of an entrepreneur, less formally educated maybe, but wealthy.
Yeah.
And it all came down to their completely different ways of thinking about money.
That mindset difference is huge. So, okay, let's dive right into that. What were some of those core lessons that Kiyosaki really wanted us to get from these two figures, especially this assets versus liabilities thing?
Yes. That's probably the cornerstone. He basically says, look, rich people focus their energy on buying assets. And by assets, he means things that generate income for them.
Like what, specifically?
Well, things like investment properties that bring in rent or stocks that pay dividends, maybe a business you own that runs without you needing to be there constantly. Things that put money into your pocket.
Okay.
Whereas, he argues, the poor and middle class often spend money on liabilities, things that take money out of your pocket, often things we think are assets.
Like the big house or the fancy car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The new car loses value immediately. The big house, it comes with a mortgage, property taxes, insurance, upkeep. It's constantly draining cash, according to his definition. Even your primary residence, he controversially argues, often functions more like a liability in that sense. It's shelter, yes, but primarily an expense, not an income generator.
That's a really different way to frame it than most people are used to.
It is.
And this kind of thinking ties into his next big point, doesn't it? Financial literacy. He was pretty critical of traditional schooling on this front.
Oh, absolutely. He felt schools teach you how to work for money, but not how money works. For Kiyosaki, financial literacy wasn't like high-level economics. It was practical stuff.
Like knowing basic accounting.
Yes, understanding a financial statement, knowing about different kinds of investments, stocks, bonds, real estate, ETFs, and crucially, understanding how things like taxes work and how the wealthy legally use the tax code to their advantage. It's about real-world financial intelligence.
Practical knowledge for actually building wealth, not just getting good grades.
Precisely.
Okay, here's one I find really interesting. His advice about your early career. Work to learn, not for money. That sounds counterintuitive for a first job.
It does, doesn't it? But Rich Dad's advice was clear. Prioritize jobs where you can pick up valuable skills, even if the pay isn't the absolute highest offer you get.
What kind of skills?
Things like sales, learning how to persuade and sell is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Marketing, communication, negotiation, even understanding systems or management. The idea is these skills make you more capable, more valuable in the long run.
So they compound over time.
Exactly. They open doors to starting your own business or making smarter investments later. It makes you ask, what are you really getting out of your job besides the paycheck? Are you building future potential?
Which leads us to the ultimate goal, right? This idea of making money work for you.
That's the end game in his philosophy. It's about shifting from being an employee, trading your time for money, to becoming an owner or an investor where your money is the employee, working 24/7 to generate more money.
Through those assets we talked about.
Through investments, businesses, real estate, creating passive income streams, income that flows in whether you actively clocked in hours that day or not. That's the path to true financial freedom, according to Rich Dad.
Now, it's a really compelling vision, but we should acknowledge the book isn't universally praised. It gets some pushback.
Yeah.
How should someone listening approach it, knowing there are criticisms?
That's fair and important. Critics often point out it's, kind of light on specific, actionable how-to advice. Exactly which stocks to buy or how to structure a real estate deal.
More philosophy than a detailed plan.
Yeah, and it relies heavily on anecdotes, his stories about the two dads, rather than hard data or rigorous financial analysis. And that's a valid point. You won't find a step-by-step investment guide here.
So what's the value then, despite those critiques?
I think the enduring power of the book, and why it still resonates, is the mindset shift it encourages. It fundamentally challenges how you think about earning, spending, and investing. That core message, focus on assets, boost your financial IQ, make money work for you, that's still incredibly powerful.
So more about the why than the how.
Exactly. It lights a fire. It
Yeah.
makes you want to seek out the how-to information elsewhere, tailored to your own situation.
Yeah.
The emphasis on needing financial education and thinking like an investor, that part absolutely holds up.
So wrapping up our deep dive today, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a quick read, definitely gets you thinking.
Yeah.
Really valuable if you're new to personal finance or just need a jolt of motivation to, rethink your approach to money.
It's less an instruction manual, more like a catalyst.
Right. A spark.
And maybe the thought to leave you with is this. Just take a moment and really consider, how could your financial life change if you truly shifted your focus from just earning money to actively finding ways to have your money work for you? What possibilities might that open up?